Okay, in this tutorial I'd like to talk to you guys on how to do shading in your picture. First thing you're going to want to do is you want to create a new layer. And remember, in Flash you need to name your layer. So I'm going to call this shading. From your outline picture, I go through here and I would pick the color that's actually in your outline. So the dark part. Now if you did not choose a dark color for an outline, like maybe you outlined in black, just choose something skin tone but just a little bit darker. The basic concept that we're going to do here is that we're going to color in some areas, and it's going to look a little sloppy, but trust me, when you get it completely done it'll be fine. Now I'm going to hide my outline layer so I can see my picture. Using my brush tool, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, and then what I'm going to do, the areas that look a little bit darker, and I'm going to color in those areas. Now those of you who are art students are probably better at figuring this out. So this is a little bit darker here. Be sure to lock layers you're not working in, because that's really, that's really easy to do. Am I on the right layer? I am. A little bit darker here and here, maybe perhaps here, a little bit there, right there, right here. Now this area right here, over here is lighter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tell it to choose this light color, but make it even lighter. Remember, you can go through and change your view if you wanted to go to saturation or brightness. It's a lot lighter here, 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 here. Now I'm going to turn my outline layer back on. That looks kind of weird, doesn't it? On my outline, on that shading layer, I'm going to go back to it. Choose my black arrow. Now when I'm going to click the keyframe. The keyframe here is this frame here underneath the one with the black dot. I'm going to click on it so it selects everything in that layer. I'm going to go to my modify menu, and it has to be converted to a symbol. Do you guys remember in Photoshop whenever we worked with filters? Well, we're going to add a filter in Flash. I'm going to call this shading. Make sure that the behavior of this symbol is a movie clip. It might be defaulted to graphics, so be sure you change it to a movie clip and tell it OK. I know that this is a movie clip because it's got a blue square around it and it has that dot in the center. Now in your property inspector, this is selected. If you don't see information that says like filters, click on some of that shading and you should see it there in your property inspector. Click the little arrow where it says filters, and at the bottom we're going to add a filter. It's a really small button. It's that first one. We're going to add a blur. Now right now the default on the blur is a 5. We're just going to increase that, and you'll notice it's lightening up. So how far do you go until it looks good? Now that white is too bright. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to double click on that. That's going to put me in symbol edit mode. I know I'm in symbol edit mode. I only see one layer, and I know I got 5,000 layers. And here it says shading. This part is a little bit darker, and it takes me to scene 1. So I'm going to deselect by selecting off of it. If I hold down my shift key, I can do a multi-select these areas, all those light areas, and I'm going to tell that just to be a little bit darker because it was way too light. And then I'm going to go back to get back to scene 1. I'm going to click on scene 1. Ew, how does that look? Maybe that's how you're going to go through and you're going to change that, and that's how you're going to do shading. It's merely a simple new layer. You draw what areas need to be shaded. You click the keyframe. You go to modify. You convert it to a symbol, and then you add a blur to it. Add the new deal. That's how you do the shading. The next thing I'd like to show you, the last thing I'd like to show you is hair. And ladies, to do makeup, it's going to be the same thing. I would separate the blush from my eye makeup. And this is what this, let me lock the other layer. I know I look like Honey Boo Boo's mom right here. But, what's her name? June. Mama June. Color in your areas, and if that's the color you like, then cool. You can also go through and erase if it gets too big, but you're going to do the same thing. You'll select it, you'll convert it to a symbol, and then you'll go through and add a blur to it. On the hair layer, hair strands, I've got one layer that's just hair. Okay, I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to call it strands. I said strands. Flash is being weird with me today. Is that it? Is that my new layer? Nope. I'm going to go here, put it above there. There we go. And I'm going to call it strands. Now you don't have to put a bunch of these here, but I would suggest a few. Now this is the same kind of concept. On this layer, what I would do is I'm going to hide my hair layer. So I'm going to hide the hair. And then all I'm going to do in the strands layer is I'm going to pick a, maybe a black color, and using my brush, actually on this one I'm going to go ahead and tell it to do a linear, and the two colors I'm going to choose, since my hair I did a red, I'm going to do it like a red and a black, so that when I do my little curly cues, I don't know if y'all guys have noticed this, but I have curly hair. Do you see how it's getting kind of a light red? Let me make that a little bit more dramatic so you can see the difference. Make it dramatic, Miss Olden. Do you see it? Okay, and all I'm going to do for this, looking at the texture of my hair, just put in a few brook, 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 brook. Just add a little bit more detail. Now, I can use my behind the free transform as a gradient transform. I can click on there and I can change that gradient. Maybe I don't want that red just like in my face. I can go through here and I can further customize that. Okay? And that's how, do a few strands. Some of you guys, your hair is like this. Hey miss, use right brush. Your hair is more like that. Okay? Some of y'all's is just, you might want to do like simple strands. Mine's curly, so I went with the curly. Now, when you are completely done, say your picture's done, what you're going to do is you're going to delete your picture layer. You'll click that trash can to get rid of it. Now, I'm going to recommend that you change the color of your background. So to change the color of your stage, your background, you're going to use your black arrow, click in the gray area, and in your property inspector's little square that says stage. Change your stage color, because I want you to know how to change your stage color. I also suggest, I want you to take the brush and somewhere on it, like an artist's work, I want you to put your signature on there. And then go ahead and put the year. That's freakishly large. Make it smaller so it fits on the stage. If it's in that white square or on your stage, then it'll show up when you go to publish it. Now let's talk about publishing finally. File. We're going to export this as an image. It's going to ask us, hey, where do you want me to put this picture? I want you to put this in your grade this folder. What's the name, period, last name, first name, cartoon, and tell it, make it a JPEG. You're going to tell it to save. Finally, here's the details. Where it says resolution, I want you to increase your resolution to 300 dpi. Okay? Where it says include, I don't want it on minimum. I want it on full document size. Minimum means it's going to trim it. I want it to get all of it. And then on quality, I want you to change. I think it's defaulted like at 50 or 60. Increase that to 100 so that you get the best. You get the best quality of this picture, because vectors are not so good about publishing as a JPEG. Then tell it okay. It's going to go like derp, derp, and it's like it's going to be there. So Flash is not going to confirm that it did it, but that's what it did. I can navigate to my folder and it's going to be there. And that's how you'll finish out your file.